Shamsul Alam Pantho, is NATO's expansion weapon supply to Ukraine a deterrent to Russia or to provocation that might escalate the war further? And I have a similar question for you. Can Ukraine realistically expect a negotiated peace, or are we entering a prolonged war of attrition in Eastern Europe, because there is no solution we see yet?
Well, thank you for your question. We must understand the rhetoric between aggressor and the underdog. In this case, the aggressor remains Russia, as they have claimed almost above 25% of Ukrainian territory, effectively making Ukraine the underdog in this fight. However, Ukraine over the last 3 years have been trying to garner support, whether it be diplomatic support, whether it be weaponry support. However, you look at NATO and the 32 nations, they are the last meeting that they had, they urged the member states to meet the 5% defense spending up until 2035. However, countries such as Spain, who wants to be out of such a escalation, or wants to keep the country out of escalation, had only said that we will only be looking at a 2% increase instead of the 5%. Let me just put you in a breaking news. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is announcing support for Ukraine, and he's also set to meet UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer today. And the meeting shall be looking at how Germany and UK can strengthen their ties once more. And the meeting agenda will focus more or less on the war on Ukraine. So it comes to show that even in an era where UK is going through a post-Brexit era, they're now rethinking their stance and their friendship with Europe in order to see what kind of counter reaction Russia can give. Of course, most of the weapons manufacturers in the US are trying to get NATO's stockpiles replenished, and of course, as you mentioned, this may be a very prolonged war, as it's already running for the last 3.5 years, and Russia is clearly winning. And Ukraine is clearly losing much of its territory on this eastern flank. Not so, even the Crown Prince of Bahrain had stated that the US Patriot missiles that they have, they don't have any plans of sending those into Ukraine as of yet.
So, do you sometimes feel it that Donald Trump is doing so much of activities regarding the war, conflict, tariffs, border issues, and some internal division in Congress and Senate? Will it be possible to control all these fronts he is opening in his presidency, or he will do something very strong mistakes?
America has been recently hit by natural disasters. I say this why, even in New York City, we've been seeing massive flooding. The metro station in New York City has been flooded. The 5 boroughs in New York City has been flooded. So this is a natural calamity. And earlier on, we've seen the Texas flood and how the Guatemala, I think, I don't remember the river name, but it was flooded. And much of the lives were lost, above 100 plus or so casualties. So his campaign was initially make America great again, not make the world great again. So it's the American perspective that civilians in America should understand where their leader is at. And of course, the Republicans are now looking forward a much more transparency backed issuance of their daily work. Of course, that is definitely so that people do not lose confidence in Donald Trump. I'll give you another story. There are anti-Trump protests that are going on in all 50 states, including 10 cities in Utah, and thousands are staging what they call a good trouble demonstration to commemorate civil rights icon John Lewis and to protest Trump-era politics. So it is definitely comes to say that majority of the American population do understand that Donald Trump's policies are taking place in war fronts, various war fronts, might I say, and it's not really focusing on the domestic issues that America has. America is a very diversified nation. A huge immigrant population is living in America, whether it be them being born in America or whether they are immigrant who moved in from other places. But what that does is it's not being nourished. The immigrant population in America is what makes America great.
So, world is going to be destabilized. As I said, that I am curious to know about the digital media clash between the top person of the country, Donald Trump, and the upcoming young leader, Jairan Mamdani. What is the update you have on that?
Well, Donald Trump hails from Washington, D.C., while Zoran Mamdani hails from New York. And he was the winner of the mayoral primary. Both of the leaders have exchanged insults, I would say, and even Donald Trump had questioned Mamdani's legality, even though he's been a naturalized citizen ever since 2018. And as you know, the Immigration and Customs enforcements are in America, ICE, effectively, they are carrying out raids, massive raids, and capturing various illegals, even so, and they're having been deported. Obviously, Mamdani had said that he will do he will work with any kind of federal administration only and if it benefits New Yorkers. So New York finally has a leader who wants to do for the residents of New York, who wants to make sure that daily living in New York is calm, peaceful, and not strained on a basis such as everyone's spending parity. But of course, he will oppose policies, any kind of policy which harms New Yorkers. So New York is finally having a leader which may look towards its own benefit. And of course, Donald Trump had called him a communist lunatic. So it's very far too early to say what happens in the case of Zoran Mamdani, but we'll definitely have an answer ready by the end of this year.